Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I've been meaning to do this video for a little while, but one of my favorite comics in the last year, bar none, and I really should. People ask me all the time what comics am I enjoying, and usually I'm enjoying all kinds of comics for all kinds of reasons, but there's a small handful that really rise to the absolute top, and they're the ones that I know I'm gonna, I bought the floppies, I'm gonna buy the trade, I'm gonna put it on my shelf, and it's gonna be something that kind of joins a very I don't know. I should say very small collection, except it's not. I've got hundreds of books up there. So, it's one of those that I think was really good, and it's definitely in the contender for top five books of the year. And that's E-Ratic by Kari Andrews, and this is an AWA Upshot book. It's an interesting tie. First, a couple things that went wrong with it. I'll start with all the negatives. Start from a different place. It is leveraging the Upshot shared universe, but if you are all in on Revolution and some of these other AWA Upshot things, it really doesn't carry over that at all. It carries over some of the concepts, but it's its own thing. Now, I consider this a good thing. I'm happy about it. But if you are looking for a shared universe type comic that really is going to tie into some of the other things AWA is doing, it's not going to have that. The other big drawback in my mind, and it's really the only other one for me, and this one is going to feel like what is it? The opposite, like a negative compliment. I don't know way you put it. It's too short. This was a 5-issue limited series. Kari Andrews just did an incredible job with the characterization, and why it sticks in my mind is, and why it's going to be one of those comics we remember forever, is he managed to do with characters, which I haven't seen done effectively in a long time, and I've been kind of racking my brain of who's been better at doing this. He managed to give very three-dimensional, very deep characters, personalities, and kind of motivations, and very complex aspects to who they are in no pages. I've never seen somebody so efficient at putting this stuff out than what Kari did for E-Ratic. It is hard to wrap your head around. I remember in issue 3, I made the comment, because I think I reviewed that he was still world building, like a lot. He was still putting more pieces on the board, and he was past the halfway point, just, headstrong going in and adding more parts to this universe. And it blows me away. Every character in this book feels distinct. And it sounds like, who cares? But I defy you to go and find another comic where all the characters, the supporting characters, the heroes, the villains, the ones that aren't, you're quite sure about, the supporting cast, everybody has got something going on. He was bringing in supporting characters, just supporting characters that supported supporting characters, and it was giving them backstories and personalities. It's incredible. So over 5 issues, it becomes not enough. He does tell absolutely a complete story. He makes the landing astonishingly. I mean, I will tell you, when I read issue 4, I was thinking to myself, I hope I'll catch up with Kari Andrews again at some point. I hope Canada can get their situation under control there, and they can open up the border again. I mean, I'm in his neck of the woods all the time. And I owe that guy a beer, a bottle of whiskey, whatever it takes. I owe him something, because he gave me a great comic. But when issue 4 came out and I finished it, I remember thinking very clearly, he's going to blow this ending, because it's like there's still too much up in the air. There's like the last issue is going to have to be triple sized or something, because it's going to be very hard to. He had like so many plates spinning. And damn it if he did it. The book ended. It ended with a ton of open things, absolutely. But the story that you came to the table for got concluded, and you got a sense of finish. If you pick this up and you read it as one trade, and I'm curious to do that. I'm going to let about a month go by. The trade is coming out. Let's see, by Simon and Schuster in I want to say June. It's coming out June 22nd, so about a month from now. this book comes out. And it'll be interesting to read it again at that point, kind of read it all the way through and see if it has the same kind of big feel that it did reading a comic book month to month. But it kind of opened my eyes to something that I think's been missing in comics for a while. Because as you read this, you'll get a very 80s kind of feel. And what I mean by that is, again, the characters are talking, they're interacting, they're doing stuff. There is action, certainly in this book, but the non-action pieces do not feel like they're filler. They don't feel like you're waiting for the action to begin, or kind of killing time, or giving the artist something boring to do for a little while before they get to the action. I mean, in this case, Kari Andrews is writing and drawing it, so it's some good. He's if he's boring anybody, he's boring himself, so it works. But the what he did with this comic is really really impressive. Oliver Leaf, this teenager, has these powers, basically 10 minutes of powers a day. So he's got this very extreme limitation. It sets up a kind of frantic energy that Kari pays off with his art, which is an interesting. I mean, his art style tends to be. It's hard to describe. It's both sketchy and looser, but also it has a lot of energy to it. This book feels like Kari is very in touch with his own style. He understands kind of what he brings to the table. He understands his positives and his negatives. He understands what he can do, and so he created a story that fits him to just an extreme degree. It's very impressive. The other part is you get a lot of social commentary in this comic through some of the supporting cast and the villains, but it is not the social commentary in this case feels like what it was like to be in high school. This kind of uncomfortable, Shark Tank level of students and teachers, and just crazy over the top personalities. I mean, the teachers are all like, they take their personalities and they crank them up to 11, which again, once again, fits his art style. Everything feels very energetic, like it's popping off the page. So the personalities feel like they're popping off the page. The villainous characters is this teacher that kind of assumes some control. Is this over the top, very the personality pops, and so it all comes together really well. I think this is one of those comics where the story, the concept, the art, Brian Reber, who did the coloring, I just all in all. Incredible work. So I'm very impressed. I think this is by far the best AWA comic that I've gotten. I think AWA's got a lot of very good titles out right now. They're, in terms of a kind of startup small publisher, they're doing a lot of things right. This comic to me is been just works on all the levels. The story's solid, the art is solid, the story fits the art. You do get, like I said, a complete story. It reads new, it reads original. It's the interesting thing is, when I was recommending this to other people, I would say this title reminds me so much of Spider-Man when it first came out. It had that awkward student kind of discomfort, and kind of a lot of this is like Parker Luck, much worse, much worse version of that. Everything's going wrong from this character. He's struggling. Who can he trust? Nobody. It's danger at every turn, and he's trying to figure himself out, and everything is a mess. And it has that feel to it. At the same time, it felt very original. And what dawned on me, kind of as I was rereading the final issue, it feels original because we just haven't gotten storytelling like this for a long time. It's there's a formula that's developed in comics. This title, E-Ratic, breaks that formula. And so I'm curious. I mean, I suspect there's a lot of readers who would pick this up and they're like, it makes them uncomfortable, or it wouldn't fit. I think what they'd be feeling is this isn't the formula you've been trained to accept. It's something new. Obviously, I interviewed Kari Andrews on this channel. I'm a big fan of his work that goes back a long time, and so it's always one of those cases like, Perch just saying this because he likes the guy. I promise I don't like everything everybody does that I talk to, but I mean, obviously I followed him for a long time. One of the reasons why I was very excited to talk to him is because I've been a fan of his work. So not shocking that I'm a fan of this title. But I will say it's worth your money. Go check it out. I'm seeing right now the E-Ratic book appears when it's coming out. It's got a MSRP street price of $9.99. So $10 for 5 issues of this quality of art and story. That is, once again, it's insane. That's an insane deal. Definitely pick this up at your local comic shop or Barnes & Noble or wherever it happens to be. Books A Million, I think lots of people will get it. But pre-order this. I guarantee you'll have a good time. It's you get so much story for this money and this thing. You get something very unique. So, my hat is off to you. Kari Andrews, you just knocked out of the park. It's just an incredible book. Definitely, like I said, it's in my top 3 of the year. And it's worth your time. So check it on out. There you go. E-Ratic sounds like a complete and absolute chill, which I guess it was, but the reasons I gave earlier, that's why I think it really works. Very good storytelling, very good characterization, and man, I wish they wrote characters like this more places. Well done. So let me know if you read this book, if you liked it in the comments below. If you didn't like it, let me know that too. That's always interesting to hear. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.